Hey everybody, and welcome to the Popcorn Banter gaming sessions. Today we're going to have a sneak peek at the pre-release Nets challenge that big Ant Studios have released for their upcoming Cricket 22. For anyone unacquainted, the Nets challenge is a mini game that lets you attempt to post a high score on the global leaderboard. This can only be done with the batting component, however you're also able to jump into some free play bowling and batting as well. I should point out that in its current state, the game is not indicative of the final product. Big Ant have gone to lengths to convey that message, so I thought I would too. There's still about 5 to 6 weeks before the game is officially released, so plenty of time for them to weed out any bugs or any iffy mechanics. Alright, let's jump in and check out the gameplay. Straight off the bat, I noticed you could only play as English players. From the batting side of things, there was only Joe Root, while Moeen Ali takes on the spin duties in the bowling, and Jimmy Anderson was the designated fast bowler. I must admit, I was a little disappointed with this. I was hoping we'd also get the option of switching to Australian players, but I guess it was just easier for Big Ant to throw in 3 players. It's not a huge deal, but that was something that definitely stood out to me from the get-go. I'll run you through the Nets challenge quickly. It's a pretty simple minigame. You're essentially just trying to score as many points as possible. Every time you make contact with the ball, you score a point. There's also a target in the net which moves after each delivery. If you hit this target, your score multiplier increases by a factor of 1. This makes it a lot easier to rack up big scores. I will say that I found it pretty tough to hit the actual target. On that note, I want to talk about the batting mechanics. I was coming in under the impression that batting was going to be the same, not for any particular reason, that was just the vibe I was getting. I found while playing that the accuracy of the stroke play appears to be way off. At one point, I attempted to hit a half volley through cover and the ball went through mid-on. There was nothing wrong with my footwork or my stroke play, it just went the wrong way. This is something that, might be a problem now, but I'm sure that it will be fixed up once the game is officially released. That's it from the batting side of things. Everything else seems to be pretty much the same way as it was in Cricket 19, so you're not going to have any huge surprises there. Alright, let's have a look at the new bowling mechanics and how it affects the actual gameplay. Now, bowling is a funny one. Different from batting. I wasn't expecting anything different in the batting, but I was expecting something different in the bowling. And I have to say, after playing this for an hour, maybe an hour and a half, I can't say that I'm noticing any huge standouts from the way the bowling actually works. They have incorporated a brand new feature called Aftertouch. This appears to affect the length of the ball after your initial button selection. I tried playing around with this a lot and I didn't notice any huge difference in the length. I'm not willing to give up on this feature yet, so I'm going to continue practicing with it and see how I go. I mean, yes, the interface looks and feels different, but has it actually changed anything from a gameplay perspective? My answer to that would probably be no. I don't want this to come across as a knock on Big Ant or what they're doing with Cricket 22, because Cricket 19 was a fantastic game and I had no problem with the bowling mechanics from that game. However, they did make a big song and dance in their announcement about brand new bowling mechanics, and I got to admit, I'm just not seeing it. The bowling side of things is where the game feels a bit more buggy. If you're a right-hand fast bowler, or even a spinner for that matter, everything plays fairly smoothly. There's no real issues here. The only major thing that I've noticed is that the speed gun just does not work at all. For instance, when Jimmy Anderson is bowling full pace, it says that he is bowling at 25 miles per hour, which, is about 40 kilometers per hour, and that is obviously incorrect. The left-handed bowling is where the bugs come into play. Firstly, the bowler does a big jump in their run-up, which also translates to the jump and line guide on the side of the screen. This makes it pretty tough to bowl the ball with any real accuracy. The bowling interface is much bigger than it was in Cricket 19. I don't know if this makes it any better or worse, but it's definitely a new aspect to the bowling. The colours for the different jump and line lengths really threw me off. I don't know whether I need to play around with my screen colours or not, but I found this very difficult to pick up. As funny as it sounds, I think this is one of the gameplay mechanisms they really need to focus on in the lead up to the official launch. Getting the colours right and making it easy for people to see where the meter is as they're coming into bowl is going to have a big effect on the gameplay. Outside of the batting and bowling mechanisms, the only other thing I can really make note of are the graphics. I think this is probably the aspect where I'm nitpicking the most, but there was a definite lack of sharpness to the edges of the models and the objects in the game. The players' faces look quite good, that's a positive I'd like to throw out there, although their body shapes were a bit off. They all look very skinny, and the 3 available players appear to have the same body shape. Outside of that, I'm not going to be too critical about any graphics because A, the game isn't actually finished yet, and B, I've made a big song and dance in the past about the fact that graphics aren't always that important in games, and it's mostly about the gameplay. So on that side of things, I'll probably just leave it there. In general, I'm still pretty excited for the game's release. I know the final product will probably be a lot more polished than what we're currently playing. I would probably say that for anyone thinking about pre-ordering, you of course should if that's what you want to do. But are you missing out on anything by not pre-ordering? No, I don't really think so. That's all for our Cricket 22 first impressions. We've got a whole bunch of Cricket 22 related articles on Popcorn Banter, so don't forget to head over there and have a read. We'll be back once the full game is released and we'll be giving you our full Cricket 22 review.